Hey everybody, Josh here. So today I wanted to make this video as sort of a channel announcement. Of course, I've done things like this in the past for various other channels, trying to get my, the gaming channel I had kind of get up and running. But I've made this channel a while back. It's called Fruitful Opinions. Basically, what I want to start trying to do with it is, um, I would say I'm a relatively political person. However, I've always found that arguing on social media, mostly through text, Facebook, things like that, Twitter. I've never found that to be a very effective means of communication for people. Generally, just because, if you're sitting behind a screen typing, you don't even have kind of the vocal aspect of it. You can't really voice your opinion as well as I think you can doing it kind of like this. So I wanted to kind of start creating a platform more in politics, still on the social side of things through social media. I think it just might be better through YouTube and doing it like that way. I personally just think that's the most efficient way to do it and I guess the best way to gain traction when it comes to politics. Getting yourself out there and getting out on a platform in general is just a good thing. So I've made this channel so that I can basically the goal of it is to express my personal opinions, give my ideas and thoughts on things that happen in the world. Gotten to an age where politics actually plays a pretty decent role in your life. I see that recently, something that philosophically kind of falls in line with what I believe. I don't know, getting half of my taxes taken away from me. Recently, I got a tax return for a little less than half of the amount of taxes I put in, and it's because I'm a 21-year-old single male, single white male. I don't know about white, but I'm a 21 single male, as opposed to someone who I would think at a younger age maybe made worse life decisions, had kids, and was compensated that by the federal government. Maybe I talked to somebody who had gotten several $1,000s back on their tax return, putting in a little bit less effort than me just because they had made irresponsible choices. Things like that that just kind of generate for me on the political scene. All of this stuff revolves around politics, how you're taxed, what your tax brackets are, everything like that. So in general, I just wanted to create a platform for me to be able to express my points of view on certain issues. Especially lately, I kind of wish I had done this at a bit of a sooner time, given all the stuff that came about recently in politics. Learned yesterday about the whole thing with Milo Yiannopoulos and all of the protests revolving that and free speech. But despite all of that, this is supposed to kind of be more of an introduction video. So basically, here it is. This is my channel. I'm going to go ahead and create this. I created this channel. The purpose of it is for me to express my points of view. I want to have political discussions with people. I hope at maybe some point, pull people onto Skype and have maybe face-to-face conversations with people over the internet. Not technically face-to-face, but over the web, talking to people. Maybe you type something in the comments and I read it. And I want to maybe have a political discussion with you. I'm all about an open marketplace of ideas, and I'm not someone who close-minded in regards to opposing points of view. I'd always like to talk to someone with an opposing point of view. Otherwise, there's no real point in politics, I feel. So anybody that voices any kind of opposition or anything of that nature who maybe wants to have a political discussion, I think this is kind of the best way to reach out to people and say, hey, I'm open for discussion. Let's talk. So I think I will start this one out with essentially my political standing and kind of this election cycle and kind of how I felt. So firstly, I do identify myself as a conservative. I would say I'm a conservative Republican. Now, I will say that on certain issues, I might not fall in the same sort of a line that a lot of conservatives do. I think when people hear conservative, they just kind of go as far right as they can, just kind of draw the line there and assume like everything's just off the table. You're by the book conservative. No weed, no abortions. End of story. Period. No exceptions. Stuff like that. I hold a bit, I guess, more lenient points of view when it comes to that kind of stuff. But so this election cycle, 2016, was a bit of a weird one for me personally. I, being a conservative, never saw Donald Trump as a conservative. I never thought from the very beginning. I thought the chances of him winning were slightly, even winning the nomination I thought was slight, let alone him going and winning the presidency. Now, I will say, if I had been able to choose another candidate that was maybe more conservative, I would have. However, at the same time, I almost don't really know if they would have been able to win. So it's kind of a tough a tough deal for a lot of Republicans, kind of weighing that factor. It's like I don't even know if he could have won. Anyone else could have beaten Hillary Clinton. So it's a bit of a tough situation on that one. But throughout the campaign trail, there was some things that I thought about Donald Trump from the very beginning. First of all, I had thought that, especially early on, he was very bad about his PR, controlling what he said out in public. He was very sporadic. He said things just on a whim, didn't think about them very much, leading to what I think kind of let the media grab onto him as some sort of a racist and misogynist, and all that sort of thing that you kind of heard throughout the campaign. I think a lot of that sparked when he was talking about immigration and how he was going to deal with immigration. Early on, he was very bad about the way he talked about immigration, saying that like Mexico was just only sending over criminals, and I think some of the terminology he used was just poor, and he didn't take the time to really consider what he was saying. So when that was happening at the time, I kind of knew that, of course, he didn't, he obviously wasn't a racist. I mean, I'd seen documentaries on him, and, the amount of people he had hired that were, of different race and gender, and, being a female executive in one of his companies is one of the things that Trump is known for. So it's like, I knew he wasn't a misogynist either. There was just a lot of things I thought at the time that kind of turned me away from him a bit, just thinking, he's really off a whim. He doesn't really say things with much thought. I think throughout the campaign he got a lot better with that. I watched a lot of his speeches, a lot of all of the debates, and I think what really got me was in the debate when they asked him about his taxes, and just kind of he started giving really good responses. I think the third debate was the one that really got me and made me want to vote for him. And that was one of the time when they basically revealed all the stuff that was like right after the WikiLeaks had leaked basically the rest of Hillary Clinton's emails, and they asked him about his tax returns, and he just basically came right out and said, I'm going to release my tax returns whenever she releases those emails. And then they kind of went into more depth about the emails, the Clinton Foundation. I think overall, if it kind of came down to, by the end, I actually liked him a lot, and I found the policies he was presenting to be plausible, and I thought along with my political points of view, he was perfectly fine. There wasn't anything he said that I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to want that at all. I thought stronger immigration is always good. I mean, you can get to a certain extreme, but regardless, I think having strong immigration policy is fine. I knew from reading about Hillary Clinton and the stuff she'd done in the past that she wasn't like that. I knew that Hillary Clinton was bad with security. She was the Secretary Clinton was like one of the worst people with security you could ever have, regardless of the stuff that you can look at in Benghazi, the issues she had there. I mean, talk about someone who's supposed to be the top security person, deleting all those emails and using a private email server with very little security, enough so that a foreign entity could just hack into the system like that and pull them all off. So it just kind of shows you the carelessness of that. I mean, and you read some of the stuff about the Clinton Foundation regardless, and you see the corruption and with Bill and her just in general. It was just awful. And I kind of looked at it from a perspective at the time of voting is I'd much rather have somebody who has the potential to do great things with this shadow of the media kind of hovering over, saying all the horrible stuff he's going to do, knowing what I felt like he was actually going to do and the opportunities for growing that he had, opposed to Hillary Clinton, who I already knew was corrupt, knew was a liar, knew had all these did her job poorly and stuff like that. So it was kind of like, for me, I just didn't want to. I knew what I was getting into with Hillary Clinton. I just didn't want to go down that route. So I did vote for Donald Trump in the election. I was probably one of my few friends that actually did do so. I did vote for him. I am, of course, as he is president, rooting for him now. So, as I think most Americans should be. Overall, if you have questions about it, have questions why I voted for him, you have questions maybe about specific policies, how I feel in regards to them, you can, of course, post those in the comments. If you want to have a discussion about it, I'm always up for that as well. This is just, again, something I wanted to do to kind of open up a platform for me. So now, of course, I check the news regularly throughout the day. One of the things I wanted to show is I'm not, in regards to mainstream media, look at mainstream media all day. I look at Fox, I look at CNN to get a contrast of kind of how they report. So I get most of my mainstream, I watch all the mainstream stuff, I do all of that. I'm also very, I'm very wanting for people to go and read the source material too. You know, when these executives' orders are passed, I go and read them, so that when I hear stuff like you're banning Muslims, I can go through and read the executive order and know that that's not what it does, and stuff like that. So I mean, you read people tell you facts about it, and if you've read it, you can, you know, if it's true, it's true. If it's not true, you can cite it because you've read the source. So I think that's kind of how I view politics and how I get my information. So that's one of the big things. I monitor everything, though, of course, social media for these candidates or for Trump and for his administration, and I do all of that stuff too. But overall, this video is more, kind of went a little bit long, but this is more supposed to be an introduction to the channel. I'm going to be making videos when major events happening, kind of explaining my opinion on them, and then of course you people, anyone that watches these videos can comment on it, do whatever you'd like. So for now, this should be it. Hopefully in the future I can get some sort of a better better recording, I guess, platform instead of just a character from a video game in the background. But for now, I think this is good as an introduction. Kind of give my explanation of how it started, how I kind of went about wanting to do this. I just saw a lot of stuff on social media that I wanted to respond to but didn't want to respond to because I knew typing and doing that stuff over the internet just not really effective means. You get a lot of lost context and stuff like that. So I wanted to make the channel for a while and start posting videos about my opinions on topics and things that are going on in the world. So I've done it. It's here. Feel free to leave a comment, give me any feedback. If you want to have a discussion about it, I'm completely down to do that as well. But we're going to go ahead and end it here. I do appreciate you watching, and we'll go ahead and I'll keep you updated on the next post. You'll see it. Go ahead and follow me, subscribe, do whatever you'd like to do to make sure you keep this up. And I'll make sure that I get something out here soon whenever the next big event happens.